Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies, which help unlock better roles, faster promotions, and delivering cutting-edge expertise. We partner with 100-plus authorized training partners and 50-plus universities, supporting talent across all career levels, from entry-level to executive leadership. As a GSDC member, you gain lifelong access to interactive webinars, hands-on workshops, SME panels, and global summits. Join a vibrant community of 25,000-plus members and be part of our global events. Check our reviews on Trustpilot. We're trusted worldwide for quality, support, and impact. Whether you're aiming higher or building tomorrow's talent, GSDC is your partner in purposeful growth and impactful leadership. Visit our website to explore our offerings. GSDC, share the best practices and learn from the best practices. Welcome to the Global Skill Development Council, your gateway to digital transformation. We are an independent, vendor-neutral ISO IEC 1024 accredited certification body committed to helping individuals and organizations stay future-ready in a rapidly evolving world. GSDC is accredited by the Accreditation Board for International Certification Bodies, ABICB. For 10 years, we've certified more than 100,000 professionals across Europe, North America, Asia, and Africa, with our offices in Switzerland, the United States, and Singapore. Our programs are recognized by leading publications and podcasts, including Forbes, Tech Target, People Managing People. We offer 100-plus globally accredited certifications across emerging and in-demand domains like generative AI and emerging technologies, HR and learning and development, project management and agile Scrum, ISO and quality management, information security. Each GSDC certification is designed to empower professionals with confidence and help organizations stay competitive in a fast-changing landscape. Every certification is crafted with insights from 100-plus global advisory board members representing top universities and leading industry experts. Our certified professionals are trusted by 500-plus multinational companies.
Hello everyone, my name is Pratibha and I'll be your moderator today. So if at any point you have any question or if you would like to connect with GSDC, please feel free to use the chat box. So let me start with today's session. I hope you're all ready for that. Just allow me a minute to share my screen. Meanwhile, please do let us know from where you guys are watching. We would be happy to know that. So, on behalf of the Global Skill Development Council, I'm truly delighted to welcome you all into the GSTC Certified Learning Beyond Training: How Modern Organizations Build Skills, Performance, and Workforce Readiness, creating skill powered organizations beyond traditional training. And one of the things which make this webinar so interesting is the amazing expert panel we have lined up for you. Some of them have already delivered a very incredible and insightful sessions, and others are all set to bring in more powerful ideas. So, for those who have joined with us for the very first time, let me give you a quick introduction who we are. Global Skill Development Council is a globally recognized certification body. We are accredited by ABI-CB. Till yet, we have a 250,000 professional certified with us. We have 500 plus subject matter experts who contribute to our program. We are associated with 100 plus training partners across globe. We are also partnered with 1,000 plus multinational companies and 50 plus university worldwide. So these are the training partners who are associated with us from the Asia, Africa, Canada, Australia, Singapore and many other regions. So special thanks to all training partners for helping us improving our program. And a very special thank you to our media partner WordPress Hub for covering all of our press releases and event releases. So before starting the session, I just wanted to make a quick announcement that we have launched a unique platform called GSDC AI Studio, Lifelong Learning Initiative. In the GSDC AI Studio, you're going to get 100 plus live monthly sessions with global expert, including 4 daily sessions, 45-minute live expert lead session for hands-on learning, sessions from global expert. Now you can learn directly from our AI leaders around the world. Real time practice, you can apply concept immediately and get your question answered. Certification ready, you will be getting the training aligned with industry standard for job ready skills. So currently we are covering 100 plus certification in our portfolio, which includes the learning and development, HR, Gen AI, agentic AI, emerging technologies, ISO lead auditor and implementer, project management and PMO, agile DevOps and SRE, cybersecurity, digital transformation and many more. But once you get certified with GSDC, you just don't walk away with the certification. You also become a part of our community, which comes with GSDC membership benefits, including lifelong membership, certification upgrade, workshop boot camps, learning club access, also the full benefit of GSDC AI Studio, and many more. With that, it's time to welcome our today's speaker. Today we have Sarah Vikens with us. So, Sarah is an ED in leadership for organizations and the founder of the Shameless brand, helping organizations eliminate workplace shame and build psychologically safe, high performance cultures. With over 10 plus years of experience in franchisee operation and multi-unit leadership, she specializes in leadership development, succession planning, and scalable learning ecosystem. Her work blends strategic execution with human-centered learning and curriculum design. She is also the host of the Sincerely Shameless podcast and author of the Just a Shameless Leader newsletter. Sarah partners with organizations as a speaker and consultant to transform culture and strengthen executive and talent development. Today, she is going to lead the session on building high performance organizations through structured competency development. But before handing over the virtual mic, just a quick reminder, if you have any query regarding the GSDC or if you would like to connect with our speaker today for any query and guidance, please feel free to use the chat box. Once again, don't be shy. Drop your reactions, emojis, and quick comment into the chat. That's how we know you're with us, actively listening and absorbing from the insightful session. We also have an announcement to make at the end of today's session, which is a $400 worth gift certification voucher. With that, it's time to welcome Dr. Sarah on our platform. Thank you so much, Dr. Sarah, coming on our platform. We are very honored to have you as our speaker. The stage is all yours.
Hello.
Yes, Sarah, we are able to hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Hello, everybody, and thank you so much for such a very robust introduction. My name is Dr. Sarah Wilkins, and I am extremely excited to be here. Do you have the screen ready to go?
Yes, just allow me a minute to share my screen.
Okay, perfect.
So, participant, I'll be the one who is going to share the screen on behalf of the speaker so she can give you the seamless session execution. So, just allow me a minute. I'm sharing my screen. Sarah, I hope you are able to see my screen.
I am able to see your screen. All right,
Okay.
perfect. And let me set this up. Okay. Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for that beautiful, beautiful, beautiful introduction. It's always very impressive to hear all of the things that I have been able to accomplish and the many things that I'm super excited about accomplishing. And of course, thank you again for having me. And today, you guys, I want to take a bit of time out of your busy schedules and to share some insights that I've not only learned, some of my lived experiences, and some of the things that I am currently practicing in the workplace when it comes to building high performance organizations through structured competency development. Next slide. All right. And so, as you all heard, that was quite a robust introduction about myself. But to go a little bit deeper, I would like to provide a little bit more insight and background information on actually what I do. In short terms, I motivate, educate, and transform individuals through learning and development that shamelessly contributes to the workforce at large. After completing my EDD in leadership for organizations at the University of Dayton, where my dissertation explored how onboarding and introductory level learning shapes organizational integration and socialization, and focused mostly on leveraging my curiosity to understand the roots of the workplace challenges and comprehension to cultivate beliefs of growth. While I do strive to serve the big picture, I've learned that the lasting impact starts in small, consistent actions over time. Next slide. I am so excited to talk to you all about building high performing, structured competencies. However, I don't feel it would be fair unless I shared a story time about my own personal lived experiences to get to the space to where I realized that structured competency developments were necessary. So, roughly a year and a half ago, I was on LinkedIn. And while I was on LinkedIn, I got a message from a recruiter. And as you all know, that's typically how it happens. And they had shared insights about a role that they were interested in me pursuing. While I was currently in a role and I wasn't looking for anything, I was impressed with the type of challenge that this role could offer. And I was also uniquely driven to work in a space that I hadn't before. And so this was in a completely different industry. And so I did my due diligence. I had researched the role, I prepared there thoroughly. I had met some of the people that were working in this role, and then also people that worked within this industry. And after countless interviews with meeting with the team members that were already there, directors, stakeholders, I thought it best to go ahead and sign the offer letter once it came my way. As life would have it, a month and a half later, the offer letter did arrive. I was extremely excited. So I signed the offer letter and I looked forward to the next steps. 2 weeks later, I was greeted on my first day. And to my surprise, my first day was not a walk in the park. I was unclear of what building to go to. I was unclear of where to park. I was unclear of what room number I should go to. And of course, that landed me late and feeling very, very unsafe. Just, am I still going to be able to do this job? Am I still going to excel in this role? That day turned into another day and another day and another day. And by Friday, I was questioning what I was even doing in that role. By the second week, I had completed onboarding. And by the second week, they had shared with me that the training that I had received, which was in a room with three other people, was the extent of my training. And so after that, I realized that I was in a tough spot. It had been a month and I had very minimal learning. I had committed to my own learning. I had tried to meet other people to get some information to learn, but ultimately it was my time to perform in the role. 6 months later, I was no longer in that position. Next slide. These are just some shared attributes that I took away while in that role, and I've learned that I've used in all of the roles since I've been working. The first one was peer relationships. While I was in that environment where I felt like learning wasn't something that was leveraged and that performance was something that was demanded, I had to lean on the peers that I was able to actually build relationships with. Those were the people that had been in the role prior to me or were existing in that role, and those even in cross functional roles. I had to build those peer to peer relationships. The other thing was having and maintaining professional boundaries. I recall being in those settings where I felt like I was overextending myself, um, underextending myself, but I had to keep some form of professionalism about myself. And in that, that was quite tough, but that was one of the saving graces for me to be able to swim in this role. But most importantly was psychological safety. While I was in that role, I had to muster up the strength and the psychological safety to say half of the things that are being demanded of me was not things that I learned. The other half of the things that were demanded aren't even developed. There is no clarity on this. There is no SOP on this. There is no deliverable on this. This is just something that is being demanded. And those were the attributes that I had in a role that did not have structural training or structural competencies to set me up for success to be a high performer, which leads me to the very reason why we are at this presentation. Next slide. The traditional model that drives performance is typically focused on the ability to acquire skills through training programs. And if we dig a little deeper, we have to really ask ourselves, what are those training programs? Oftentimes, they are learning modules through LMS systems, or they are certifications that we do on a computer facing thing, maybe even a test, or sometimes it's often even shared knowledge or tribal knowledge while doing it. The other aspect is measured competency completion rates through test scores and certifications. But ultimately, the assumption is if we hire skilled employees, they will be high performing employees. And I can confidently share with you that that is not always the case, and that there is a gap. Within that gap, most skills exist within a vacuum without context for application, the environment, safety, or without the measurement of competency. Building competency isn't just about having trained people. It's about having people that have skills that are integrated and supported by their environment. And they feel psychologically safe enough to perform the skill consistently. Next slide. So, what actually happens when we build competencies? And I just wanted to build you guys out it's 3 steps, but there are more, right? There has to be role clarity. Role clarity is what is this person actually responsible for? And how do they actually outline in detail said responsibilities? The other portion of building a competency is role, I'm sorry, the screen, is the actual how it is measured. So oftentimes when we look at the role in itself, we are able to articulate what is required. But then there has to be some type of role measurement. So is this measured through a behavior? Is this measured through a skill? Is this measured through a completion? Is this measured through a task? Oftentimes that is not really outlined for us. The other portion is internal responsibility for learning. Internal responsibility for learning is something that the team member, the partner within the workplace, is responsible for. That is where you take the role clarity and the competency measurement and push them together and then merge them and actually do said skill. That is how competencies are actually built versus training and then doing. Next slide. Next slide. Thank you. So what is oh, one before. Thank you. So what is it? So what actually is structure competencies? Structure competencies are the systemic approach to defining and developing the combination of knowledge, skills, behaviors, and attitudes needed to perform. So remember in the beginning of our presentation here, I spoke a lot about skill development, and that is in role clarity, where the skills that are necessary to do the job. The measurement of the competency is the knowledge and the behaviors. But then remember that story where I shared I was in a workplace where there was limited training, but because I was deemed a high performer, I would be someone who would actually be skilled. The psychological safety portion is the attitude necessary to perform. And a lot of times that is one of the things that is not measured when we bring on people into the workplace, but also once they are existing in the workplace as tenured team members, the attitude. Does this team member feel safe enough to share that they don't have the necessary resources or that they feel that there's a better way to achieve something? Also, oftentimes we just measure competency by the skill and the knowledge, rarely by the behavior that is actually being completed and the attitude that sets the ability for the person to do this time and time again. Next slide. So these are the things that are needed when we talk about building high performing organizations based on structured competencies development. We have to consider it from from the individuals to the bigger picture. Oftentimes we look at the bigger picture and we miss the people that are included and involved in it. So the individual must have role clarity. They must be able to have the bridge between having the skill and feeling safe to apply it, removing ambiguity that could create any type of performance anxiety. This is also offering a tool of measurement. So once that team member has role clarity, and then we have building skills by competency measure by providing the structured learning through courses and certification, building proficiency through on the job application, also developing skills through observation, mentorship, and shared knowledge. Now that team member can actually practice and cultivate mastery of the skill that is learned. This is the moment where we say they can do it. And as individuals within the workplace can build role clarity and have role competencies by measurements, then we can actually increase individual internal responsibility for learning. We ultimately are creating structured competencies and development. Next slide. All right. So I figured that would be quick and to the point. Now we are open for questions.
First of all, thank you so much, Sarah, for the amazing
You're
and
very
insightful
welcome.
session. I'm sure our participants have learned a lot. So the participant floor is officially open for question and answer. If you have any question, please feel free to use the chat box. Meanwhile, the participants are dropping their question. We do have few questions from the LinkedIn and YouTube. Let me just read those for you so that you can answer. So the first question we have, in your story, you highlighted how the absence of psychological safety directly blocked learning, integration, and performance. How organizations practically assess whether psychological safety and truly exists during onboarding and early role transitions. Could you please put a more slide? How can this be done?
Wow, that is an amazing question. And I'm excited to share that I actually have the answer for that. Um, So, psychological safety is something that organizations can measure. However, I do believe this is something that is this is a responsibility of the individual. So, psychological safety can be measured through the development of an IDP. This is also seen in how a team member is integrating and also socializing. Typically, socialization is on a decline if a team member does not feel psychologically safe. It's oftentimes more increased if they do feel psychologically safe. So, those team dinners, team outings, chatting in the team's chat box, involving themselves in group chats. Typically, when team members have a decrease in that, they're less likely to feel psychologically safe. But also, psychological safety is half and half. There has to be an environment from the organization to create that. However, it is a personal responsibility for a team member to feel psychologically safe and say, I need said resources or I don't feel comfortable. And so I do believe organizations are doing a better job by having ERGs, employee resource groups, and having those 6 free sessions through the insurance groups to have opportunities for people to seek therapy. But ultimately, psychological safety is a responsibility of the individual, which was something I learned in that very toxic workplace environment.
Thank you so much for the detailed and thoughtful answer. So we have question from one of the participant, Aminat. Aminat wants to know, do you have a template to build an effective competency framework?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I do believe these are pretty simplified to build when we're talking about competency frameworks. I do believe this is something that you want to assess with the jobs that are already presently available and understanding the role comp clarity of that. And then working with your partners to see what actual behaviors are necessary and how they want to measure the success for that. And after those two parameters are completed, then you bring on said person, you walk those things out, and then you measure accordingly. But absolutely, there is a template I could send out.
Thank you so much. And the next question we have with Edward Ganeshan. Please share the parameters. How can we implement if a system is not there or leadership does not believe?
There are two ways. I'm gonna go with the I'm gonna go with the more popular result is there has to be we have to show that there's a need for it. And so oftentimes our leaders see a need for it when the bottom line is impacted. And so one of the things that I did in this prior role was I realized that our training was good, but it was not curated for who we were trying to train. And so that meant we had to shift an LMS. So we had to leave one LMS to go to another. And then our language and how we trained our team members had to change as well. They did not see that until we got removed from plenty of teams saying they didn't want us in, and that impacted the bottom line. And so then we had to come back in and revamp. And when we revamped, we were actually able to sit with the teams that we will be training and we had conversation. How does this sound? Is this something that you can learn from? Okay, what is that education level? Where is the language barriers? Where are the geographical differences? And once we were able to collect that information, we were able to actually cultivate a training program that worked.
Thank you so much for the great answer. So the next question we have from Ajit. In competency slide, you mentioned attitude as one of the key attributes. Can you give an example of what an attitude or lack of it can be and how should it be changed?
Okay, an attitude of that last portion. What is the attitude could be the last portion?
What an attitude or lack of it can be and how should it be changed?
Oh, yeah. So long and short, there are some attitudes that aren't work friendly. So if you want someone to break it down even simpler, say for example, you're in a restaurant and you want someone who is friendly and you want them to be bubbly. If you do not see those attitudes in interviews or in normal interactions, perhaps that person just isn't friendly. Some skills cannot be taught, and that is okay. There is a such thing as a cultural misfit, and that is okay. There is a attitude misfit. I think the better question is which attitudes are you receiving, and then align it with your vision. Maybe that attitude does not align with your vision, and that's okay. And then ask yourself if that attitude is worth changing. Is that an attitude you want to invest in to change?
Thank you so much for the amazing answer. So we have a follow-up question from Ganeshan regarding the framework. Is there ANT framework we can try?
There are a lot. So let me think back to the original question. The original question was structural competency development frameworks. I would suggest looking into onboarding frameworks. I would have to literally pull my dissertation to share with you the many that I looked at, but there are quite a few. In fact, you could pull on Inform, Welcome, and Guide framework. And basically, the inform portion is a collection of how we inform that newcomer or that 10-year team member, how we welcome them and integrate them into the workplace. And then guide, how we guide them 6 months in, how are they feeling 8 months in to a year. So the inform, welcome, and guide framework works wonderful. And it's an onboarding framework. So, actual one.
Thank you so much for the amazing answer. So, the next question we have from Gagandeep Singh: what are the characteristics of high performance?
Characteristics of high performance from the organization at large or from the individual? I would like to answer both of those because I don't want to assume which one you would like. I would say characteristics of a high performer is someone who is invested in internal responsibility for learning. So, this is the person that, when put in sink or swim environments, they typically grasp at what's available to swim rather sink. And so, that would be a high performer. That does not mean that they are a lone wolf. That does not mean you can put them anywhere without any type of training or resources or tools. This is just someone that can work with limitations and still perform well. As far as a high performing organization, obviously that would be an organization that drives the bottom line. However, high performing organizations that drive the bottom line does not mean they are always successful with their team members. And so I think there has to be a balance between a high performing and culturally well organization. And that means they consider all of the team members that contribute to the picture at large.
Thank you so much for the insightful answer. So, we have a question from the participant of YouTube that you described role clarity as the bridge between having a skill and feeling safe to apply it. How can leaders define and communicate role clarity in fast changing roles where expectations frequently evolve?
That is the question of the year. I think there has to be a clear understanding of what the goal is. Like, the roles can change, but if the goal is, for example, I'm going to give a business example. The goal is increase sales by 2%. There has to be an understanding of what key drivers the organization is going to use to push the 2%. And as those things change, there has to be a measurement for how we will understand if we are doing that. If the goal is constantly changing, then of course the behaviors are constantly changing. That means a behavior can't sit still and evolve, meaning it can't be competent. We can't build on it. So as the goal should be steady and the behaviors have to be steady. And then how we achieve those skills is what we want to develop on.
Thank you so much for the amazing answer. So, we have the next question. In your structure competency approach, building skills including learning, observation, mentorship, and real applications, how should learning and development team design mentorship and on the job learning so they constantly reinforce the same competency standard?
That is a perfect question. There has to be an agreement and alignment first and foremost. So when we build with our HR teams, our L&D teams, and we start to set up mentorships, there has to be an agreement to who that mentor is and who they're paired with. There has to be an agreement there. That mentor needs to be willing to mentor. So their workload may shift a little bit. It should be a little lighter because now they're going into mentorship. Also, when we're pairing mentorships and building that peer to peer relationship, there would need to be some type of commonality. You want to make sure that both parties are in agreement that they are in agreement, but they also get along. People thrive when there is a commonality. And then once that commonality is done, then this is something that we would set up as a development plan over 6 months or or a year on being able to check in. So maybe that mentorship looks a lot like on every other Friday, those team members get together on a Zoom call or a Teams meeting, or if they are close, then they get together for lunch and they share conversations about how they can develop in each other's skills and where to said team member want to go with said members mentorship, and they point each other in the right direction.
Thank you so much for detailed and thoughtful answer. So the next question we have, based on your doctoral research on onboarding and organizational integration, how can structured competency be embedded into onboarding programs to prevent new hires for becoming long-term outsiders?
Wow, that is an amazing question. And honestly, that the jury is still out on that as I am still learning and evolving in that very thing. It's something I'm working into right now. I do believe there is a culture of insider versus outsider, and that is extremely unfortunate. However, structural competencies will have to be built and then tested from a outsider. Typically what we see is the insider who's been there has been building the competencies and building the training, and that newcomer has never been there. And so there are two things that they have to catch up on. They have to catch up on new information, and they have to catch up on the new information as if they've already been there. And so there has to be a third party consideration that that information's funneled to, because oftentimes, even while they are being trained, they still aren't being brought up to speed as if they've been there. And so that would mean having a third party involvement, honestly, and making sure that newcomer understands how to do it, but not how to do it as an existing insider so that they are brought up to speed.
Thank you so much for the amazing and insightful answer. So, the next question we have, you emphasize that true competency answer the question, can they do it? In a psychological safe environment, what indicators do you recommend to measure competency mastery beyond course completion and certification?
That's a good one. So I do believe once skill mastery has occurred, it shows up in the actual behaviors of that person's life. So it goes beyond their professional. So this is where we see that pour from personal to professional back to personal. And so if you see yourself building out plans at work, when you have a true intimate understanding of it, you see that happening in your personal life as you're building out a plan to vacation. And so that psychological safety one is once that is secured, team members are actually able to translate from personal to professional because there's no longer a separation.
Thank you so much for the answer. Thank you so much for the great answer. So, participant, as we are running out of the time, so we'll take the one last question and then we'll move ahead with the session. So, the last question we have, you mentioned that skills fail when they exist in a vacuum without context, environment, and safety. What are the first environmental or leadership change organizations should prioritize before launching new competency program?
Absolutely. Twofold. I do believe leaders have to be equipped with versatility in their leadership skills. And so a lot of the competencies, meaning that training versus the skill building, that backbone of that is having that psychological safety and the awareness of an attitude, and that comes from leadership awareness. When a leader can recognize that this team member needs a lot less from me, but this team member does. And so when we build out those training programs, we have a little more versatility and stretch of the training versus a one size fits all model. And so I would recommend that leaders have development for themselves and understand that learners all don't learn the same. And then going back in and structuring competencies and training, and then sending it out from there. And then also having an understanding of what that learner learns like once it's completed.
Thank you so much for the amazing and insightful answer. And
You're
thank you so much
welcome.
once again for the insightful session. So, participant, as I told you that we are running out of the time, so we'll not be able to take more question. But I am sharing Sarah's LinkedIn ID into the chat box so that you can connect with her directly for any kind of query, any kind of guidance. I'm sure Sarah would be happy to help you out, right, Sarah?
Absolutely.
So, before moving forward, would you like to give any final statement?
Absolutely. First and foremost, I want to say thank you all for taking time out to join me in this virtual setting for learning. I do believe learning as the pinnacle for our growth, and our growth just makes the world a better place. And I'm just grateful to be a part of it.
Thank you so much for the amazing insight, and we are also very appreciate and having you, loving you, having you over with us. Looking forward to having in the future session as well.
Thank you.
So, moving ahead with the next part of the session, not keeping you and the participant for a very long time. So, just allow me a minute to share my screen. So, participant, if you are ready to get certified into the learning and development, now the certifications are available on our website, and we are also giving a complimentary coupon code to all of our participants, which will give you a 20% off. So, I'm sharing coupon code link into the chat box, but this offer is also for a very limited time of period. Make sure you're taking the advantage of it. So, if you're ready to get certified, use our check out our website and use the coupon code link, get 20% off and get certified into the learning and development. I've also shared a Microsoft form link where you can drop your feedbacks and suggestion for today's learning and development session. I'm sharing it once again so that you don't miss out. Please do drop your feedbacks regarding today's learning and development session over there. And before wrapping up the session, I just wanted to make a quick announcement regarding the utility tool. And many of you are with us from a very long time in the learning into the learning and development journey, so you know how long we have started introducing this utility tool. And the feedback I'm getting on a daily basis from the participant who is looking on their job hunting journey, that is quite overwhelming. And thank you so much to all of the participants for sharing that positive feedback. So, if you're on your job hunting journey, I would strongly recommend you this utility tool. What you can do if any of your peers, colleagues, or you, I'm really sorry, wants to take the use of this they wants to use the utility tool, can log in into utility tool by using your LinkedIn ID and password, and it will give you a recommendation for the job designation you are targeting and the industry you are targeting, and it will re-improvise your LinkedIn profile and resume and stand out your resume in front of the HRs and recruiters. To making your job hunting journey even little bit more easier, we are giving you a complimentary coupon code to all of our participants, which will give you 100% off. I have shared the coupon code link into the chat box so that you don't miss out. But this offer is also for a very limited time of period. Make sure you're taking the advantage of it. So if you're on a job hunting journey, take the help of utility tool and make your job hunting journey even more easier. And all the best to all job hunters out there. So I am really sorry. I don't know what happened. My screen stopped. So I really apologize for the inconvenience. So, moving ahead, as today we had an amazing and impactful session with Dr. Sarah, tomorrow we are going to have one more insightful and amazing session with Izinin Ike. She is going to lead the session on closing the skills gap, tools and techniques for effective skill gap analysis and prioritizations. So, this is going to be conducted tomorrow at the same time on 13th Feb at 9:30 a.m. Central, 11:30 p.m. Singapore, 9 p.m. Indian, 10:30 a.m. Eastern. Registrations are open. I'm hoping to see you all tomorrow as well. And if you are one of those people who loves to learn regarding the ISO, so this webinar is for you. We have added a lot of new modules and new technologies into this webinar, and this is going to be conducted from 9 to 13 Feb at 8:30 a.m. Central, 10:30 p.m. Singapore, 8 p.m. Indian, and 9:30 a.m. Eastern. And you're one of those people who loves to learn regarding new AI technologies, new generative AI, agentic AI, how to create the agentic AI, how to create the agents and everything, then this webinar is for you. And this is going to be conducted from 9 Feb to 13 Feb at 7:30 a.m. Central, 9:30 p.m. Singapore, 7 p.m. Indian, and 8:30 a.m. Eastern. With that, it's time to celebrate our referral champions. We have Bhanu Durgesh, Uluvaga, and B. Venkatesh. So, special thanks to all three of you for helping us simplify our initiative and reach it to the wider global audience. So, if you would like to be one of our knowledge and professionals and advisors, you can also become one. What you have to do, if any of your peers, colleagues, and professional wants to join for this webinar or any other webinar, you can refer the registration link which you will find on our website. What's in it for you? That every referral will earn you a point. And once you hit a 50 referral point, you will be able to get a free $400 worth gift certification voucher. Right? This offer is also for a very limited time of period, so make sure you're taking the advantage of it and becoming one of our knowledge professionals and advisors. We would love to have you in our community. And if you would like to be one of our speaker for learning capsules, webinars, and podcasts for this session or for any other session, any other webinar, we would love to have you over with us. So you can reach out to us at pratibha@gsdccouncil.org and pitham@gsdccouncil.org. I have shared the email ID into the chat box so that you don't miss out. These are the platforms where you can connect with us: our LinkedIn ID, our WhatsApp group, our WhatsApp official channel, our website, our Instagram, our Twitter account. So I'm sharing all of this chat link into the chat so that you don't miss out. For staying updated regarding our upcoming events and trends, please do join all of the platforms and follow our YouTube channel, Instagram channel, and our Twitter channel. And apart from that, we would love to hear your session key takeaways and learning outcomes. So you can drop your session key takeaways and learning outcomes on reviews.io, because your feedback helps us to improve, to make your learning journey even more engaging, dynamic, and insightful. I've shared all of the platforms link into the chat so that you don't miss out. With that, it's time to come to an end. Thank you so much once again, Sarah, for coming on our platform. We are very honored to have you as our speaker. We loved your session today and looking forward to having you in the future session as well. Thank you so much to all of the participants for joining into our learning journey. I'm hoping to see you all tomorrow as well. Till then, keep learning, keep energizing. Have a good day, good night, good evening, good morning, wherever you are. Please do drop your feedbacks on the Microsoft form link, which I have sent into the chat box. And thank you so much once again to all of you.